Have you ever wondered what actually happens when a company says, "We need this document translated into German, Japanese, or French"? Does the company simply give the document to a translator, get the translated file back, and send it to the client? Not really. A professional translation company does much more than translating words from one language to another. In this video, I'm going to take you behind the scenes and explain what a translation company actually does, how a translation project works, and what career opportunities this industry creates. Welcome to Transolutions. We are a language company working across translation, language training, and other language-related services. Transolutions has been working in the language industry since 2009, with experience across more than 70 language pairs. And through this channel, we want to help people understand something that is often misunderstood. The language industry is much bigger than just translation. Let's start with the basics. A translation company is a language service provider that helps individuals and businesses communicate across different languages and cultures. Imagine an Indian company wants to enter the German market. They may need their website translated into German. They may need product information, legal documents, marketing content, or training material translated. They may need interpreters for business meetings. They may even need German voiceover or dubbing for their videos. So the actual requirement isn't simply translate this document. The real requirement is help us communicate effectively with our target audience. And that's where a professional language company becomes important. The first and most familiar service is translation. Translation can involve documents, websites, manuals, contracts, brochures, reports, product information, and many other types of content. But professional translation is not simply replacing one word with another. The translator has to understand the meaning, context, terminology, tone, and purpose of the original content. The goal is to communicate the same message accurately and naturally in the target language. The second service is localization. Localization goes beyond direct translation. It means adapting content so that it feels natural and appropriate for the target country, culture, and audience. Because what works for an Indian audience may not necessarily work for a German, Japanese, or French audience. Localization helps businesses communicate in a way that feels relevant to their target market. Translation deals mainly with written content. Interpretation deals with spoken communication. For example, business meetings, conferences, training sessions, interviews, and international events may require interpreters. The interpreter's job is to help people communicate effectively in real time. Have you watched a video in one language and heard it in another? That's where voiceover and dubbing come in. A professional language company can coordinate the translation, scripting, voice artists, recording, and final audio or video output. This is particularly useful for companies creating multilingual training, marketing, and digital content. Another important area is transcription and subtitling. Audio and video content may need to be converted into text, translated, and then turned into subtitles. This can be useful for training videos, interviews, conferences, digital media, and many other types of content. A language company can also help people learn foreign languages. Foreign language training is another important area of the language industry. Languages such as German, French, Spanish, and Japanese can open opportunities for students, professionals, and businesses. And learning a language is not only about passing an examination, it can also be a professional skill. Now let's look at what happens behind the scenes when a client gives a translation project to a professional language company. Let's take a simple example. A client gives us a 50-page technical document and needs it translated from English into German. What happens next? First, we need to understand the project. What is the subject? Who is the target audience? Which language is required? What is the deadline? What format is the document? Does the client have terminology or style guidelines? Because every translation project is different. The next step is selecting the right linguist. A professional translator isn't selected simply because they know German, French, or Japanese. Their language expertise, subject knowledge, experience, availability, and quality record can all matter. For specialized projects, domain expertise becomes especially important. Now the actual translation begins. The translator reads and understands the source content, researches terminology when required, and creates content that communicates the original message accurately in the target language. This requires much more than knowing two languages. It requires understanding. Once the translation is completed, quality checking becomes important. We may need to check accuracy, grammar, terminology, formatting, consistency, and completeness, because the final output represents not only the translator but also the client. Quality is therefore an essential part of professional language services. Once the project has passed the required checks, it is delivered to the client in the required format. So, what looked like a simple request, please translate this document, actually involved several stages and potentially several professionals behind the scenes. And here's another interesting part: a language company isn't made up only of translators. The industry can involve project managers, translators, editors, proofreaders, interpreters, voiceover artists, language trainers, localization specialists, quality professionals, and technology specialists. This means the language industry can create opportunities for people with many different skills. When students hear foreign language, they often think only about becoming a language teacher. But there are many more possibilities. You can explore careers in translation, interpretation, language training, localization, voiceover, dubbing, subtitling, transcription, content development, and AI language projects. Learning a language can be the beginning of a career. And today, there is another big question: will AI replace translators? AI and machine translation are definitely changing the language industry. But professional language work is not only about converting words. Context, culture, terminology, accuracy, creativity, domain knowledge, and human judgment continue to matter. The industry is evolving. And that means language professionals need to evolve too. The future is likely to belong to professionals who can combine language skills with technology and domain expertise. At Transolutions, we want to use this platform to create awareness about an industry that many people don't fully understand. Through this channel, we'll talk about foreign language learning, translation, interpretation, voiceover and dubbing, content development, AI and language technology, language careers, and what actually happens behind the scenes in a language company. Our goal is simple: to help you understand the world of languages and the opportunities it can create. So the next time someone says a translation company just translates documents, you can tell them there is a lot more happening behind the scenes. If you're interested in languages, global careers, translation, interpretation, or the future of the language industry, subscribe to the Transolutions channel. In our next videos, we'll take you deeper into this fascinating industry. I'm Harshada from Transolutions. See you in the next video.